Hi guys, this is Drew from the Cellcast, and what you are about to hear is our review from the Frankenweenie episode of our animated series segments for Star Trek Lower Decks Season 2, namely the episodes Strange Energies and Kayshon, His Eyes Open. We are doing this because we want to get it where you can just listen to our animated series episodes for Lower Decks all in one go without having to go and search for them. If you, and we're doing this as a promotion for Season 4, because as those are going to be coming out starting on Labor Day weekend, we are going to be releasing first with the Lower Decks Strange New Worlds crossover episode, Those Old Scientists. From that point on, we're going to be releasing each episode as we review them. So in order for you to be able to just start from second contact, that's the name of that first episode. So you can go from second contact all the way to whatever episode season 4 ends on. You'll be able to do the whole thing without having to go searching for the season 2 and 3 episodes at the end of other movies that you may or may not have an interest in. If you like what we're doing here, please let us know in the comments so we'll know if we need to make the extra effort to go back and do the same with Tangled the series, Thundercats 2011, and our X-Men episodes that we've done so far. If you do, we'll do that. We may even go ahead and put it in an entirely separate feed so you just have those segments. Not sure what the plan there is yet, but keep an eye out for that. Anyway, once again, thank y'all for hanging out. Here is our Lower Decks. Here's our animated series episodes for Star Trek Lower Decks for Strange Energies and Kayshon, His Eyes Open.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Robotech.
All right. If you remember when we left off on these reviews, a year and a half ago,
Roughly.
when we left off at the end of season 1, and one of our characters, Boimler, had moved on to a new ship.
Yeah.
While the other 3 are left back on the Cerritos.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go. That's pretty much what happened. All you really need to know going into this. So let's go ahead and jump into the first episode of season 2, Strange Energies, which was directed by Jason Zurich and written by Mike McKayen. Since this is the first episode of this, I am going to go through the entire cast list. Tawny Newsome plays Ensign Beckett Mariner. Jack Quaid plays Ensign Brad Boimler. Noel Wells plays Ensign Devon Attendee. Eugene Cordero plays Ensign Samantha Rutherford. Dawn Lewis plays Captain Carol Freeman. Jerry O'Connell plays Commander Jack Ransom. Jillian Vigman plays Dr. Ta'ana. Fred Tatasciore, who last season played Security Officer Shax, the Bajoran.
Yeah.
He is still in the cast. And in this episode, he voiced one of the Cardassian Guard holograms.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Ben Rogers plays Lieutenant Commander Stevens. Missy Pyle plays the holographic Cardassian interrogator. And if the name Missy Pyle sounds familiar to you, she was in Galaxy Quest as one of the Thermians.
Oh, okay.
The female Thermian.
Oh, okay.
Just to put that in perspective.
I gotcha.
Semi Star Trek royalty. Jenna McKenna Jessica McKenna plays Ensign Barnes. Lauren Lapkus plays Ensign Jennifer Sharian. Phil Lamar plays Admiral Freeman. And this episode, we have guest starring Jonathan Frakes as Captain William T. Riker. For 2 lines. In this episode, the USS Cerritos is dispatched on a mission, which results in an encounter with strange energy. Trivia for this episode. Although there is no official star date given within the episode itself, a log by Ransom on the Star Trek Logs Instagram account dated the episode to somewhere around stardate 57995.8, roughly around where it's supposed to be. In Mariner's holo program, the holographic Boimler says the Cardassians keep showing him lights. This is a reference to the Next Generation episode Chains of Command Part 2, where Gul Madred tortured Captain Jean-Luc Picard by repeatedly showing him 4 bright lights and telling him they were in fact 5 lights. When Picard refused to submit, he was tortured by a small device implanted in his chest that allowed Madred to inflict pain in any part of Picard's body. Which is why every Star Trek fan knows there are 4 lights. Anyway.
And apparently I still don't get that joke.
I'll make you watch that episode one day. The ships featured in the Cardassian facility as Mariner steals the Macduff include 2 Gaylord-class Cardassian cruisers, 3 Jem'Hadar fighters, 4 Bajoran interceptors, 4 Danube-class runabouts, 5 Delta Flyer-type vessels, 7 Federation attack fighters, 3 Snipe-class frigates, and 2 D5 Klingon battle cruisers. 5 small Cardassian ships of an unnamed type, and 3 Hideki-class vessels. Mariner's line about how the crew is not supposed to have interpersonal conflict is a reference to Gene Roddenberry's infamous rule during the early years of Star Trek The Next Generation, that there couldn't be any conflict between the main characters and that all drama had to come from outside forces. And now you know why the show nearly died in 2 seasons. That episode references Gary Mitchell early in the episode, and that's a callback to the second pilot of the original series, Where No Man Has Gone Before, which aired as episode 3. In it, Lieutenant Commander Gary Mitchell was exposed to strange energies at the edge of the galaxy and given godlike powers. So, Jacob, what are your thoughts on this, not being a big Star Trek person and being forced along this by your co-host?
I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. It was a fun episode. There again, I didn't catch all the references. Be like, okay, that's a reference to something. I don't get it.
This episode, there wasn't too many.
No, there wasn't. But the idea that I think it's Mariner, who is now kind of her and her mother, who's a captain, have given her basically free reign to do whatever she wants. Is that the same episode? Yeah, same episode. That's the whole thought. And there again, that's
what causes the main conflict in this episode.
Exactly, because it's Mariner. Because everything.
She's trying her best, what she thinks is right. Unfortunately, screws up.
Of course. I do like the idea that they go down, and poor Boimler.
He finally got what he always wanted, and it's actually being in the A story of an actual Star Trek series. So every week he has to deal with this crap. And Riker using all of those jazz terms. It's like, how do you know what he's saying? I don't know what he's saying. Anyway.
Oh my gosh, but then you get the side story with Tinley, right?
Tindy,
yeah, Tindy and her guy crush.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Rutherford did technically get horribly injured at the end of the last episode because in order to get out of the Pac-led vessel and it's still connected, Shax literally ripped his implant out and then ran, and that caused some memory issues. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Also, Shax is dead at this point.
Really?
Yeah. In this episode.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's been a very long time since I watched the first season, but it's a good episode. It's there again. It's Mariner trying to get herself out of the problem she put herself into, and the first, what is it, the first, not captain, but he's the
first officer.
He's the first officer. Oh, I think it's like Riker. Be like he's Riker.
It's the same role.
It's the same role.
In fact, a lot of Ransom's what do you call it? Mannerisms?
Yeah,
are based off Riker.
They are very much based off Riker. I mean, like I've seen a little bit of Star Trek: The Next Generation, and it's like, okay, Riker.
Yeah,
but oh my gosh, be like the guy who originally played Riker.
Jonathan
Frakes. Be like, just sound like every scene he was in was chewing it up. It was so funny, just so funny, and like there again, there's a lot of the things going on. Be like, I may not understand because I'm not a Trekkie or a Trekkie.
Okay. I use the term Trekkie. If that's wrong, I don't care.
Okay, either or. But it's a fun episode, and it's how they solve this dilemma of the first lieutenant or whatever his name is,
first officer. Technically, he would be a commander in rank.
Okay, the command. What's his name?
Ransom.
Yeah, Jack Ransom. Yeah, Jack Ransom. Getting zapped by this ray, and the joke would be like, oh, it may give him an idea of godly powers. Yes. And he turns this immediately. I'm like, oh no, this is not gonna be good.
It's like, oh my, and then he starts doing so many Star Trek things from the past, where his head separates from his body and grows to massive size while slowly turning everyone on the planet into little ransomites.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
And changing everything to be like fitness equipment, because he's got a very big fitness thing on that show. Because he's trying to be Riker and Kirk, basically.
Yeah, right. And oh my gosh, the way they solve the dilemma, because the mother and daughter don't get along.
They really don't. They both hate working for each other, but they don't. Neither one of them knows how to get out of it, and that's what's really got Ransom set off.
Yeah, and Ransom just he wants the admiration from his captain, and he's not getting it because the daughter's getting it.
Yeah,
and the solution to getting him to calm down.
Well, I love how they explained it when she says, well, how did they stop the Scary Mitchell guy back in the old days? They dropped a boulder on him. I'm thinking, yeah, they did. They did drop a boulder on him. And then at the very end, it's like, yeah, she is doing the, can we call it the Megazord maneuver?
Oh my gosh, yes. It is the Megazord maneuver.
She is kicking him right in right in his manhood, we'll say.
Yeah. Ouch.
And continues doing it because it's the only thing that's distracting him enough for the energies to want to leave.
It's like, oh no, power up.
And finally they finally bring him to a full stop because Dr. T'Ana has found a forklift with a giant boulder and drops it on him.
Oh,
like, well, that'll do it.
Oh my gosh.
That'll do, kitty. That'll do.
Oh my, yeah, this episode is fun. There again, going back to season 1 with Star Trek Lower Decks, there was a lot of apprehension watching this because obviously it's the creators of Rick and Morty, and I was like, this doesn't sound fun at all.
And I was worried when we first did this, even though it was my idea.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's really good. It's really well done storytelling. And is be like the episode where this is the same episode where crap, what's her name? The main character of the show. Mariner. Yeah, Mariner be like she's doing this hologram where she's working out and she's breaking out of a prison.
Trying to get out her frustrations because that is how she that's how she does her athletic stuff. Keeps them fit.
Yeah.
And I love the part where they're on what is obviously a recreation of the Khan ship from Wrath of Khan.
Yeah.
The Reliant.
Yeah, the Reliant.
Because it was even a Miranda class vessel. And the Cardassian, the holographic Cardassian, she's pulled along here, says, "Why quit doing squats? What are you doing?" She says, "I can't. It's leg day."
Oh my gosh. Yeah, Mariner be like I'm kind of torn between her character because she's the kind of character that really gets on your nerves about everything.
Right.
And she literally gets away with it all the time.
Well, not all the time.
Not all the time, no. But it's just more like she just does whatever she wants. She has to face consequences most of the time, but it's just like, can we stop with this, please? But it's the character. I understand it's the character, and it's how these stories play. But it's just like, oh my gosh, will this character get put in her place?
And then you've got Tindy.
Oh my God.
Bless her heart.
I'm trying to save my friend.
Yes, because he's got some kind of disorder that the first thing is you change your preferences. The next thing you know, your brain's leaking out through your nose. It's like, what? And then she puts on, and Rutherford's trying to be nice about it because he doesn't know what she's actually talking about. And she puts all of these little shock things on him, and keeps setting it off at random times because if she keeps it low or it doesn't change up the voltage or whatever, he'll get used to it. And then finally, he gets tired of it, rips all it off, and goes on his date from the with the lady from the first episode. And then Tindy shows up with a medical gun. That's what it is. It shoots medical splooge. And
oh my gosh,
starts firing at him. And then my favorite part, they get to that hallway and he puts up the force field so that she can't get to him.
And the point she wants to cut out his brain.
Yeah, she's gonna cut out his brain to figure out what the problem is.
Oh my
and they get having this heart-to-heart conversation. Meanwhile, on the other side of the window of this corridor, Ransom is attacking the ship with his mouth. It's like, this is a nice, sweet image, but I'm kind of distracted by the giant head, and y'all don't care. That's what's funny.
Oh my
giant head of your commanding officer is attacking the ship, and you're just having this nice conversation
about your friendship.
About friendship. Oh
my gosh. Yeah, this is a good episode.
Yeah,
it's a good okay, let's get back into what we did at the end of season 1, which I'm still trying to remember how the end of season 1 ended. Just really brief. You just give me a good. Well, never mind.
Just take that home and watch. It's only 10 episodes.
That is true.
You got a week.
I got a week
and a half.
A week and a half.
No, basically what happened is at the last episode that we watched, No Small Parts.
Yeah.
The Cerritos goes to answer a distress call from another Kali-class ship.
That's right, yeah.
The other Kali-class ship has been pretty much destroyed by a Pac-led vessel, which Pac-leds up to this point in Star Trek were considered to be jokes. And there are still kind of jokes going forward from this, but they're actually a bit of a threat in this.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And they go, the only way they can figure out the ship is getting hurt and destroyed. Captain Freeman gets injured and has to be left in sickbay, but she's still able to give orders.
Right.
So Mariner takes over for her on the bridge.
That's right.
Meanwhile, Rutherford, this entire episode, there's a running gag that he's found this new feature on it that changes his personality every time he resets it, but he can't get it back to normal.
Oh yeah.
And the entire time, he realizes, if we're going to take that, if we need to take, he figures out how to get a virus. The virus will be able to take down if it's done a certain way. But most humans would not be able to program something, but he does know somebody who can. So he goes to the holodeck and gets Badgie to do it.
Oh yeah, Badgie.
And who might still feel a little hurt from his previous appearance on the episode.
Just a bit.
And gets it on there and says, you have to get on the ship to do it. So Rutherford runs to sickbay to report, and they're going to give it to the only episode she's appeared in so far, Peanut Hamper, the little exocomp, the little robot thing.
Yeah,
it's called an exocomp. And she says, because it seems like the mission would be tailor made for this, and she says, nope, I'm going to teleport myself out here because I don't want to deal with any of this crap.
Oh yeah, that's right.
She teleports away, and Rutherford says, well, I'm going to have to do it and get over there. And Shax says something to the effect of, you're not going over there alone. He grabs Rutherford and runs to the cargo bay to get on the runabout. And they get over to the Pac-led vessel. He gets it in there, and Badgie shows up again on the Mars. Says, Yeah, because the virus gets uploaded to 98%, but won't continue going until after Rutherford is dead, because Badgie is feeling revengeful for his neck getting snapped in that episode.
Right.
And Shax rips out his Rutherford's implant, throws Rutherford into the runabout, the shellcraft, and then pushes it out there, giving his final lines, "Hang in there, baby bear," which was actually the subtitle I used for the episode we reviewed this on.
Yeah.
And as far as we know, that was the final time he was going to show up on the show.
Okay.
And they get back, we find out, yes, Rutherford was able to be saved, and they got him a new implant, but he has lost a lot of his memory because of the implant. Mariner has taken now that everyone knows that she is Mariner is Freeman's daughter. They've decided they're going to team up and be an unstoppable mommy-daughter team.
Yeah.
Doing things that officially Starfleet can't do, but she's going to let her do it. And of course, that's what leads to this, and that's why they kind of have to reverse it.
Yeah.
And Tendi is just Tendi.
Yeah.
And Boimler got the promotion to the Titan.
Yeah.
And Mariner wasn't happy about that.
No, of course.
And she definitely wasn't happy about that at the beginning of this episode. But yeah, go ahead and give that a watch. It's it's only 10 episodes and it's quick.
I gotcha. And ever since we got a break next week.
We got a break. You got time.
Yeah. All right. So good.
Yeah. So we now need to go to the next one.
Yeah.
Which is Kayshon, His Eyes Open, which was directed by Kim Arndt and written by Chris Kula. In this episode, our lower deckers have trouble bonding with Ensign Jet Manhaver, who has been assigned Boimler's bunk and shift duties. Meanwhile, we get a glimpse of Boimler's life on the USS Titan, which is more intense than he thought it would be. In this one, Fred Tatasciore is now in this episode voices Kerner Howes, the holographic recording of the guy who owned the station that they're on. Jonathan Frakes returns as Captain William T. Riker. Richard Fulcher plays the pack-led leader. Robert Gilbert plays the Titan's chief engineer. Marcus Henderson is Ensign Jet Manhaver. Vanessa Marshall is the Titan's first officer. Jessica McKinnon returns as Barnes. Nolan North is a Carzil 6 miner. Ryan Stringer is the Titan's tactical officer. Carl Tart in his first episode as Kayshon. And you only thought we got away from Shorty from Rapunzel, didn't you?
Oh, no.
Dr. Miglimo, the bird counselor, is voiced by Paul F. Tompkins.
Oh, crow.
I didn't realize that till I was doing the research for this.
Oh, no.
Trivia for this one. This is going to be a bit, so give me a minute. Items that are nods to other Star Trek stories that can be seen as part of the collection include the diorama showing the spear through the back, Abraham Lincoln skeleton, and the silicon life form from Star Trek the original series episode The Savage Curtain, the salt monster vampire from the original series episode The Man Trap, one of the addictive eyepiece games from the Star Trek Next Generation episode The Game, one of the Vulcan pugil sticks from the original series episode Amok Time, a box of wine from Chateau Picard, the visor worn by Data when he dealt poker, Riker's trombone, the photon tube Spock was buried in at the end of Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, and they found in Star Trek III, The Search for Spock, one of the Mind Spheres from the original series episode Return to Tomorrow, Sulu's fencing foil from the original series episode The Naked Time, a Cottiscop board, which was a game favored by Seven of Nine and Naomi Wildman on Star Trek Voyager, episode Infinite Regress, a pulse cannon from Star Trek Insurrection, the Terran Empire flag from the original series episode Mirror Mirror, and the Enterprise episode In a Mirror Darkly, Picard's Kurlan Niskos given to him by Professor Galen in the original series episode The Chase, a Horta egg from the original series episode The Devil in the Dark, and the necklace Khan made out of a Starfleet insignia from a uniform belt buckle in Wrath of Khan.
Wow.
There was a lot of stuff. And there's one more thing. The giant skeleton wearing the tattered blue Starfleet uniform
was that?
belongs to the Spock clone named Spock 2 from the Star Trek animated series episode The Infinite Vulcan.
Wow.
That's a weird show, and I haven't got to that episode, and now I'm curious. The new security officer, Kayshon, is one of the children of Tama, or Temerians, which first appeared in the Next Generation episode Darmok. Basically, they speak a language that the universal translator can't completely translate.
Okay.
It can get what they're saying into English, but because they mostly speak in idioms, a literal translation is not very helpful.
Yeah.
So like when he says stuff like at the end when he says Shaka when the walls fell, that is him literally saying something that's the best universal translator can actually do by himself.
I gotcha.
So a lot of times he's actually speaking natively in English, or not natively in English, but he's actually speaking in English, but sometimes he'll revert back and speak in his native language, which gets translated in these weird idioms.
Yeah.
And that's actually an interesting episode to go watch.
Interesting.
And this also at the end, as Boimler leaves Riker with his transporter clone, which is something that happened to Riker in Next Generation episode.
I caught that.
Riker instructs the computer to play Nightbird. Nightbird was a gag on Star Trek The Next Generation. It is a fictional composition that is never actually heard, but is said to be very complex. Troy takes great delight in Riker's inabilities to successfully play the song's solo portion on his trombone despite many years of practice.
Okay. That makes a little more sense.
Yes. And pause right here. Hang on. That's the wrong thing. Sorry, Deela. We got rated by Geek Devotions.
Nice.
He says dramatic raid. And then bird counselor? Yeah, bird counselor. He's a bird alien, and he's the counselor on the ship. And he said dramatic pause. And then lol, yes, you did. Yeah, so we are on the last episode of Star Trek Lower Decks that we're reviewing tonight, guys. We will be done here in just a minute.
Season 2,
episode 2. Kayshon, his eyes open.
And he gets turned into a puppet,
which is hilarious in and of itself. Geek Devotions, you really don't want this bird brain as your counselor, but it's what they have. He first showed up in a season 1 episode where they literally are mocking every Star Trek movie.
Wow.
But anyway, yeah, back to this. What are your thoughts on this episode, Jake?
This one was like, it was interesting. I like the idea that Mariner has be like she's missing Boimler, but she's like obviously missing him. And this new guy shows up, and it's just like he's by the books kind of guy.
Well, he's not entirely new. He actually appeared in the season 1 episode. There's something about Boimler where we find out Boimler had a girlfriend.
Oh,
but Jet Manhaver is essentially taking up all of her time while they're visiting because Boimler had some kind of weird parasite that made him more attractive somehow.
Oh, yeah, that.
Yeah. So he was the other man that he was getting jealous of.
Okay.
That's who that character is.
Yeah, so I like this dynamic between Mariner and something
Manhaver.
Manhaver. But there again, I am terrible with names, people.
Don't worry, you'll never have to. I don't think Manhaver shows up ever again after this.
Oh, okay. But I like the dynamic between these two characters because it's obviously Mariner. It's like be like you're just trying to steal the spotlight, and they're just like he's nailing everything about her. It's like no, you're doing the exact same thing. It's like no, I'm not. It's like yes, you are. It's great, and they're both trying to take control of the situation, which is not helping the situation at all. And when they have to go to this collector, the collector died all of a sudden, and now they have to help this other collector, like get rid of the like things that could hurt him in some capacity. And
there's a lot of dangerous things on that station.
And then it's like they're trying to remove things, and something happens, and it turns out the collector stole something. When he's been like, don't touch anything, don't touch the cases, and he winds up stealing this erotic helmet.
Let's not get too much into that.
No, I'm not.
Apparently, was it Kalis?
Kalis, whatever.
Okay, it was Kalis. Kalis was essentially, I'm not going to call him Klingon Jesus because that's not right.
Right.
But he's basically a major Klingon religious figure.
Oh, okay.
So that's essentially a religious item. Apparently he wore when he had to make babies. We'll just say.
Yeah, okay. Gotcha. That makes more sense. But I like the dynamic between those two where it's they're fighting him on the show the entire time and you can't lead.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more like, hey, why don't we just let the other two try to figure out what's going on? And you're talking to
Tindy and Rutherford.
Tindy and Rutherford. I like it because they're again, those two characters work very well together. They're both scientists and they're trying to figure out like, oh, if we use this, we can do this and this. But overall, it's a good episode. It definitely when the Kayshon gets turned into a puppet. I love that. I was like, what in the world?
That was funny because it's like, oh, the new security officer got turned into a puppet. Well, he's right in line with all the great Starfleet security officers that we tend to call red shirts.
And he wasn't wearing a red shirt.
Well, that's because they didn't wear red shirts in that era.
Right.
But the original series, they all wore red shirts. That's why, they're the great, one of the great bits of philosophy that's ever come out of Star Trek is never go on an away team with wearing a red shirt.
Yeah.
You'll be the one who dies.
Yeah. There's an episode where in the
2009 movie.
2012 series where it's like Leonardo loves this series, but obviously it's a Star Trek ripoff.
Oh, on TMNT. Okay.
On TMNT. But it's so funny because like, there's one point where it's like this very obviously he's a blatant clone of William Shatner's character of Kirk, but it's so over the top, and you're like, these two guys over on a away mission, and they're wearing red shirts. They go like, that's like, well, that's what they're designed to do, and it's just like, ouch. But I digress with that. Going back to an actual Star Trek episode, I just found it funny when he got turned into a puppet. And they got to make sure he's okay and he doesn't get destroyed. And it's so funny.
The part I thought was interesting connected to that because it leads to one of my favorite lines in this whole episode. Captain Freeman is trying to be better about giving her people space, so she's not checked in with the away team, despite the fact that she should have checked. She normally would have checked in 100 times now. She's trying to give Kayshon space to be, a good leading commander. Meanwhile, he's been a puppet for the past 2 hours as they're on the station. And they finally get to a point where they can actually, communicate with the Cerritos, and it's Tindy and Rutherford that are actually doing it because the other two are in the back. And Freeman says, what the crap is going on? And they say, the ship is trying to collect us, Captain. Where's Kayshon? And Tindy holds up the puppets and says, Kayshon, when he became a puppet. And then Freeman says, this is what hands off gets me? Well, never again. And that's just one of the two stories in this episode. We haven't talked about what Boimler's doing.
Oh my gosh, poor Boimler.
Thankfully, this is the last episode where we get these split stories, because obviously by the end of this, Boimler has come back to the Cerritos.
Or at least one of Boimler.
One of them, yes. But he's on this other mission, and he gets on this away team with these three other commandos who are they like being on the front lines and boots on the ground, those kind of heavy military type of people. And they're all saying, like, I don't know how Riker loves this stuff. I don't know how he could have hung out on the D with under Picard dealing with all this other boring stuff. And one of their points is like, no, I bet he loved that sort of stuff, because it's like he's going through all these exploration, talking about all the cool parts of it, and they're like blowing him off and everything. And by the end, they're stuck down in the middle of this mine. And he's saying, and they aren't wanting to do anything because they don't know what to do. And Boimler figures out what to do based on what he remembers of, the story, the logs that Captain Riker would have had. and he says, you know what? I enjoy being in Starfleet because I get to explore. I get to see all this other cool stuff. It's not always about all the stuff y'all are talking about. And they all, of course, break down. Says, what it was like, I just like to shoot phasers or something like
Yeah.
that. And
I got him because of science.
because of science, yes. And they get the other three beamed up, and of course that's when the ionization field comes back in.
Oh yeah.
And Boimler gets to go through the same thing Riker did, where they beam him up. They try to beam him up, and only one of them gets up there, but then they find out, oh hey, the shuttlecraft's coming up. Well, that's odd. We didn't leave anyone on the surface, and it's the other Boimler, which is better than what Riker got in that episode, because he was left to rot on that. The other Riker was left on that planet for who knows how many years to live by himself. That's why he went and touched Stir Crazy, and became Thomas Riker, who later would go on to lead part of the terrorist organization, the Maquis, which is interesting. But anyway,
okay,
it's an interesting TNG DS9 episode. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Where he comes back for that, because you think it's going to be Riker, and it's not Riker. It's not Will Riker. It's
Thomas Riker.
But you don't know that for a good portion of that episode. But anyway, and then he's like, "Well, yeah, we can't have you both serve on the same ship. So, well, one of you is going to have to go back to the Cerritos."
Oh yeah.
and our Boimler, at least we assume it's our Boimler, Subsource is thinking they would both take it.
Yeah.
And this is, no, I kind of just like it here.
Oh my gosh.
And gets along with Riker like they're the best buds.
Yeah.
And that's how we got Boimler back on the show with everybody
exactly.
else.
And so our main cast is rejoicing. It's like, oh my gosh, we got Boimler back.
And poor Man Haver just leaves him to it and leaves.
That's it.
Yeah.
Too funny.
Anyway, I think that brings us to the end of these reviews.
So. Mm-hmm.
You got anything to add before we leave on this, before we cut out?
No, I think of this. I enjoy these two episodes. I'm looking forward to even more Lower Decks, the insanity that goes on with this. And obviously, because we're taking a little bit of a break for a week, because you're going to be out of town.
I'm not sure exactly the order I'm going to release these in.
Yeah.
So it may be next week when you hear another episode.
Okay.
But I think other than that, in the meantime, this has been Drew.
This is Jacob.
And we'll catch you in the next frame.
You can follow Jacob on his Facebook at Jacob B. Heron. His Facebook page, Jacob's Daily Art Corner, where he tries to draw each and every day. His Instagram at Jacob B. Heron. His Twitter at Jacob Heron. And his Letterboxd at Jacob Heron. You can find Drew on Facebook at Drew Dodgen. His Facebook page, Drew's Photo Bin, to see his photography. His Letterboxd page at GGeorge759. His Twitter at GGeorge759. And Instagram at Drew Dodgen. You can like us on Facebook at the Cellcast Podcast, on Twitch at the Cellcast Gaming, on YouTube at Cellcast, on Twitter at cast_cell. The Cellcast can be found at Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or anywhere else fine podcasts are downloaded from. Please rate and review us where you found us, and also on Podchaser. Email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. The Cellcast is a proud member of both the Pop Americana and Culture Box media networks. For more information, please see the link in the description. Our theme song is Drop and Roll by Silent Partner. And remember, that's Cell with a single L.